So everything amounts to the transcendence of the idea, I am the person. All expressions are fine. Just walk your own way. Follow what it is that is your own dharma. Whatever calls you, what path calls you, that is the path for you right now. It is okay. Follow with integrity. Don't judge other paths. If you are sincere, you'll find your way home. If God is infinite, then surely God must also be in you. He cannot be infinite everywhere else except you.
I remember that once, I think you said that you also came from a very Christian path, and maybe you could give me some hints on how to do this transformation of something so divine that's outward and bring it more within.
Okay. When we have the conviction we are merely mortals, body-mind conditioning, you cannot but see that something is flawed, meaning it's not perfect. The body-mind conditioning cannot be, even in the most arrogant mind, cannot be seen to be perfect. It's inconsistent. You see? It cannot control its projections. It cannot control its desires. It's enslaved by passions. So that that in fact is a sort of safety net for the ego, because he knows somehow I'm bound by my own projections, my own desires and fears show me that I cannot say that I am perfect, that I am that. You see? So as long as that is our ruling conditioning, then we must somehow recognize this, the higher power, the supreme power. This is important. That's also a perfectly beautiful way of consciousness in expression also. It's another way in which it comes to recognize itself through the path of surrendering our arrogance, our ignorance, and like this personal identity. So then God feels to be outside, because how could he be inside? Because inside is dirty. So how could God be inside? So with my dirty self, I can only hope, please God help me to be more clean, and like this. But this dirty self is only dirty thinking, dirty mind. Because when the self identifies, when you are born, so to speak, as a body-mind, you're not born as a person. What is born is the body is born, and at some point consciousness manifests inside that body. And consciousness is not primarily a person. In the human body, it appears as a human being, and like in a donkey, it appears donkey consciousness, the dog consciousness, butterfly consciousness, human consciousness, different expression. Just like one electricity is coming into this place. In the light bulb, it shows as light. In the fan, it turns as this. In the fridge, it makes things cold. In this machine, it records things. In another one, it plays music, like this. But electricity is none of those things. It expresses depending upon the instrument in which it's expressing and the functionality of that instrument. In this instrument, consciousness has a very wide capacity to demonstrate its diverse potential. If it believes I am this body-mind, it will be programmed into that kind of conditioning, and it will live in the notion of itself as just being a body-mind person. I was born in this place, these are my parents, my grandparents passed away, this, so and so. This will be the spectrum of your experience, you see. But here it is found that this body-mind, it's not constant, and it's not unchanging, it's constantly changing. It's more like a verb than a noun. It's constantly changing. It only seems to be fixed because the consciousness that is the root of the person, that is consistent. The person is not. It is the consciousness that is experiencing itself as consciousness, but with the delusion, I am a person, that gives the sense of the person being consistent. You see? But at the personal level, the person is always changeful. Moods feelings, ideas, beliefs, projections, arguments, judgments is constantly, it's like a muddy water. It's always like this person. But in the mind and in memory, it gets like a psychic photograph of the self, and you think that you are constant. But that constancy is the consciousness. When a human being begins to move beyond the layer of conditioning, of believing I'm only my body-mind, when it moves beyond that, it begins to recognize there's a field beyond the conditioned mind which has no quality in it. It's pure. It's like space. But it's an intelligent space. It's not an inert space in which the body-mind itself is beginning to be recognized that this is not ultimate. This is not ultimate. Like this, it recognizes it. And from that place now, the definitions that we're holding together as a person cannot hold anymore. One recognizes, but the person is seen. By what is it seen? So there is always space behind that question, and a deeper space is recognized. Like this, one begins to recognize. Some beings somehow will come into that recognition. When you come into that recognition, you will start to feel that the divine is here. If God is infinite, then surely God must also be in you. Cannot be infinite everywhere else except you. You understand? So then somehow gradually that understanding, this awakening comes more into reality. Then some people say, you know, how dare you say you are God? It's blasphemy. And then you say, but wait, but it's more blasphemy to say you are not God. That you can exist independent of God, meaning consciousness. Is the other way around? How can I not be? I can only feel I am not that when I identify only with the body-mind. Then I feel like I'm the body-mind, which is a miserable state actually. Huh? So we kind of somehow come to even become identified with our deluded state and even try to protect it. We're living in a kind of hellish state, but we imagine it's kind of okay, it's fine, we're doing okay. That's what Bob Marley say, no, you think you're living in heaven, but you're living in hell. This feeling, he's true about this one. You're in a state where it's an aggressive state, selfish state, huh? And we're still somehow protecting that state. But something is calling you, pulling you inwardly into a deeper realization of what is really here when you say I. At first I is taken to be body, mind and person. Then I becomes presence. And in presence, all what I'm speaking becomes easily understood. Then even presence is seen, that itself is also a phenomenon. When a being comes to the position where even presence is itself perceived, you're in the unspeakable. You cannot define. And then you will not find any fault, particularly with the religions or any other expression. You'll know that they're expressions of consciousness. Consciousness is the greatest movie maker in the whole world. It is making all this, good and bad, right and wrong, you, me, heaven, hell, this, that. All of this is the dance of consciousness. But you will not be oppressed by it. You'll see it only now. You'll understand the role-playing of existence and the role-playing of consciousness in the form of personality. And it will be a very different picture for you. You see?
You've also mentioned that there are two possible ways, the surrender and the inquiry. Can there be both?
Together?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. They are like two wings of one bird. You never see a one-winged bird flying anywhere. But there is a saying, yeah, that he who seeks God finds himself, and he who seeks himself finds God. There's an understanding where even the great masters, Shankara, Ramana, all of them, Krishna also, they have a devotional nature, and yet they are perfect jnanis. It seems a paradox. They also have a devotion in their heart, a great love. They sing to the Supreme, Ramana also, Papaji, all of them, even, you see. Even Buddha, who they speak about, oh, he was not believing in, it's not true. It was not like that. It's a misunderstanding. They understood the expressions of the Supreme, that it expresses in all forms, and in true understanding encompasses everything. You cannot be so much, oh yes, I am non-dual, this, and all the Bhaktas, they are deluded. No, you are deluded. You say, you know, how can there be, you cannot comprehend non-duality. The very fact that you say I or experience expresses in duality. So duality is not a mistake. It is the instrument of the Supreme in order to make experiencing and diversity possible. We should appreciate that, but come to know that the weakness of this, come to know that non-dual one who cannot be described. So in successful surrender or devotion, one loses one's ego, and in successful inquiry, one loses one's ego. This is the important thing. Even in Kama Yoga, one does service, and then also you're not attached to the fruit of your service. You don't think I am the doer. And so if the I am the doer idea goes, you see, then only I am remain. And that I am itself, it has no religion. So everything amounts to the transcendence of the idea, I am the person. All expressions are fine. Just walk your own way, follow what it is that is your own Dharma, whatever calls you, what path calls you, that is the path for you right now. It is okay, follow with integrity, don't judge other paths. If you are sincere, you'll find your way home. Some people say, I don't like inquiry, I don't like inquiry, I want... Oh, well, you don't have to like it. Do what you like. Then I prefer to pray and so and so and so, and you know, because I see that all these things, I am not them. I said, yeah, that's inquiry. Sometimes you inquire, you don't know, something spontaneous comes like this. But sometimes the mind uses the inquiry like it's kind of like a big oppressive idea. The inquiry. You know, oh God, I can't do it, it's too big, I can't. And it's not this. Inquiry simply means to look at what is true or what is untrue. To recognize that whatever you're seeing, you're not the thing you're seeing. This is simple. I like to say it is simple. To see whatever is coming up, momentary identification also. It has a passion and a pull, a magnetism, but you are the witness of the magnetism. And each time that recognition comes, you find you're released from that stickiness. And gradually you come to see all concepts can arise, none of them can stick. When you think you're a thing, things can stick. When you realize you're no thing, nothing can stick. And that's the freedom.
I thank you so much, because my heart just wants to hear what you have to say. And if there's one thing I'm sure is that each second I listen to you is definitely the opposite of a waste of attention and energy. And I'd like to also thank everybody who came here and opened their hearts and be honest, because every single answer you've given, it was just for me. Thank you so much for all your words. Thank you to the team for all your work. I'm very far away in Brazil, and the videos and the satsangs, they saved my life. Thank you so much. I know you work very hard. It's wonderful work. Thank you for your honesty. Too much emotion.
It's okay.
Okay, I guess nothing ever happens, so can I just have a illusionary hug?
Come on then.
Okay.